Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, DOGE has arrived at the heart of Homeland Security's biometrics operations. And the Trump administration kicks off its federal acquisition overhaul with a new website. It's Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. The Department of Government Efficiency has arrived at the Office of Biometric Identity Management, a quiet but powerful component of the Department of Homeland Security that handles a critical database of fingerprint, facial, and iris data used throughout the federal government. 3 people, including 1 person within DHS and 2 others familiar with the matter, confirmed that DOGE now has a presence at the agency. 2 of those sources added that DOGE seems to have restarted conversations about the future of the Homeland Advanced Recognition Technology, or HART program, which DHS has long hoped would replace the agency's current biometrics database, the Automated Biometric Identification System, also known as IDENT, one of the world's largest known systems of that kind. The Office of Biometric Identity Management was created more than a decade ago to manage the biometric information used to make border security decisions. As a relatively small office, OBIM provides assistance to DHS and federal agencies, including the State Department. The office also sometimes exchanges biometrics with other nations. OBIM's biometric database stores hundreds of millions of biometric data points. A DHS website notes that a single query of the system, quote, can retrieve data for an individual tied to a Department of State visa application, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection log of an entry into the United States, and an immigration status change logged by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. DOGE has not directly accessed the systems, however, 2 of the sources believe, but 1 person within the agency noted that DOGE has recently been involved in a decision to request a memo about the future of HART, the IDENT system, and the Traveler Verification Service, a separate system run by Customs and Border Protection. That person said there was a recent meeting between OBIM, CBP, and DOGE about the future of these biometric systems. In other news, the Trump administration has launched an effort to overhaul the federal acquisition regulation with a focus on delivering a quicker, more efficient, and less burdensome procurement process for federal agencies. To provide details on the progress of the so-called revolutionary FAR overhaul, the General Services Administration, one of the federal government's lead procurement agencies and a member of the FAR Council, launched a new website Tuesday for the initiative. Federal acquisition stakeholders can expect to find a streamlined version of the FAR, buying guides, the first of which will be focused on software as a service, and opportunities to share their feedback about acquisition policy on the new website, according to a release from the GSA. The Trump administration's overhaul of the FAR was spurred by an executive order in April that called on the Office of Federal Procurement Policy and the Office of Management and Budget to lead the effort with FAR Council members GSA, NASA, and the Defense Department. Within 180 days of that order, the group is expected to, quote, amend the FAR to ensure that it contains only provisions that are required by statute or that are otherwise necessary to support simplicity and usability, strengthen the efficacy of the procurement system, or protect economic or national security interests. The launch of the website to provide information about the FAR overhaul, quote, aligns with the Trump administration's goal of transparency in the deregulation process, OMB Senior Advisor Kevin Rhodes said in a statement. He continued on to say, quote, stakeholders across industry and government alike will see how we are reducing bureaucracy to accelerate procurement, reduce costs, and increase competition. GSA says the resources that will be included on the new website are being developed with feedback from the federal acquisition workforce and will include interactive tools that deliver real-time guidance and insights. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.